It's Wednesday. It's the last Wednesday in April, which is super shocking for me. I don't know if anybody else feels like it was just New Year's Eve and now it's May. I won't, Justin Timberlake, it's gonna be May. I really want to. Does anybody want to?
I do. It's gonna be May.
Thank you, Drew. Okay, so let's start off by welcoming our new agents and guests to the room. We have a bunch of people who've joined us. Oh, because we haven't done this in 2 weeks. That's why it feels weird. Yeah, we have mega leadership, and then we had our regional awards party. Eddie, just come in and sit down, please. Thank you. So Tamara Starfus, Frank McGroney, I don't know what's happening. Stephen Berman, Leanna Diaz, Barbara Jimenez, Donald, but please call him Craig Burt, Deb, who's in the room, Tilton, and Sharzad. Lisa Deb? I did it.
Yep.
Welcome. We have Nathan visiting us today too. Welcome, Nathan. And then I don't know who's in my romper room Zoom rooms, but welcome, y'all.
We've got a bunch of them.
Hi, friends. Okay, bucket fills. And I will keep us on track and on time today, I promise, because Broker Bob has so much good broker stuff to deliver. Who wants to fill a bucket?
I'll do it, Sarah.
Go,
I'm
Evie.
gonna stand right in front of here. So
Or you're gonna make me go like you.
Hi everyone, just wanted to say thank you to our Movement Mortgage team. They're going to be our main sponsor for our snacks and drinks today, so we always want to say thank you for always supporting all of our events. And yeah, it's great to see everyone here, so hopefully we'll see more of you next time.
Yeah. Oh, am I gonna make it go ding? Okay. It's still not good. I'll get it eventually. Anybody else? Buckets to fill? Hope! Come on up! Hold on, we have a runner. Come on up!
So yeah, I'd like to fill Jackson's bucket for being an amazing marketing conversion director. Thank you. You're awesome.
Do you have any particular reason why you're filling her bucket, or just because she's awesome?
Yeah. That's all.
Tell me about it.
Well, I will fill Hope's bucket because she was our Command 100 winner. So she's doing awesome. She's growing her business. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for this next step of growth. I will also fill buckets for Paul. He led an amazing panel. All of the panelists, I want to fill your bucket. You guys were incredible. For those of you that missed it, we did leveraging authenticity. Our agents are amazing, and they were talking about how they really want you to pour into what you're already doing, and that's where your business comes from. So thank you to our panelists, thank you Nicole, thank you everyone that was on that call this morning. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
I'd like to fill a bucket.
Oh, go ahead.
So I have a relatively new coach, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Vinny. I don't know if you're here, but I just want to say you're the coolest, most low-key coach that I've had, and I'm learning so much from you. So thank you for just being great.
I don't see him, and I want to say something super sarcastic, but because I don't see his face, I won't say it. It might come out across the wrong way. Thank you for filling that bucket, Andrea. And without further ado, let's bring us to our S&P Spotlight, Paul Ramirez from SpeedRooter.
Oh, there it is.
Good morning, DW. How are you guys doing out there? Everybody good?
Yes.
I hope so. It's pretty nice and warm out here for us. So, hey, my name is Paul Ramirez from SpeedRooter Insurance Trading and part of the HCAC Corp. What we do, we do residential and commercial service and repair, new ADUs, TI. We help realtors like yourself to help sell and buy homes. So whatever we can do to help you and your clients to make that possible and make it your transition from scoping your lines, your main sewer lines from the house to the street. And even doing a second opinion on any plumbing issues that have come across by another inspector. We do those for you guys because we We love working with KDF realtors, agents. So that's what we do. If you guys have any questions, my number is 619-320-1428 or Paul at speedyrouter.com. Feel free to come and talk to me, or call me and talk to me, email me. That's about it for now. If there's any questions, feel free.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Glad to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me again.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being one of our awesome Spotlight vendors. Broker Bob, you're up with our Launch and Growth Spotlight.
Hey, thanks, Sarah. Hello, everybody. Yes, I have a little throaty voice today. I happened to go to Coachella with 150,000 other people.
Don't talk about that.
And yes, I did come back with COVID. So, but I had fun. I danced for 3 days. But now I'm paying the price. All right, let's do some shout-outs in the road.
So COVID's not so bad after all, huh?
Who was that?
That was
Oh,
Russ.
that was rough. So,
Russ.
some things are working.
Double vax and double boosted. Makes no sense.
I thought that was supposed to be better now.
Yeah, well, it does. So, but
Next.
the symptoms are there. So, Eric Harris on Team Alicia, opening up for growth. Congratulations to you. Marlon, trying to be a resign. And the first to be a resign and launch. And Sharzad, officially joined Team Alicia on the launch. And then our Coach Carl, listen to this. How you that close? 3 escrows all in the same week. 3 escrows.
3 times.
She just happens to be in growth too. Must be a connection. And then on Team Benny, Marty Parker just opened up an escrow and launch. Great job, Marty. And then
Rock on!
Hello, friends. So my quick 2 minutes today, I'm going to tell you about something that we heard about in our growth call on Monday that I think is super fantastic. I'm going to drop a link in the chat in just a moment when I sit back at my computer. This t-shirt up here on the screen is something that our KW office our international office is selling. Part of the proceeds, almost all of the proceeds, are going to help the Ukrainian refugees. We had an agent in one of our KW offices whose parents were still in Ukraine. She reached out to her market leadership and said, hey, I'm stressed. I found a way to get them out, but I need money to help support it. Part of the way she was able to fund that is she reached out to her market center and they said, we don't care how, we're gonna help you. Because we have funds like this, they were able to dip into that money. Her parents showed up at the San Diego airport and she shared a picture of them hugging at the airport because she got them here. She got them here because of you guys. These are the things that make me get all teary and I can't talk about them too long because the power of KW is amazing. So, I am buying my t-shirt today. I already got Sarah, she's buying her t-shirt today. If you would like to, I'm going to throw the link in the chat. $30. It's on KW Red Label. So for those of you in the room that aren't plugged into your computer, go to KW Red Label, look under apparel. This is what the shirt looks like. $30. That's how we get things done. Incredible power. That's why.
Beautiful.
I'm going to just put an exclamation point on that for a minute. Thank you for sharing that with Jacqueline, and we'll drop it on the Facebook page too. To be clear, this agent was like a little panic stricken because she did not have the money at all, and within 24 hours, the Market Center KW Cares moved, put the funds in her account to get her family back together so quickly. I also can't talk about KW Cares things for very long, so we'll just move on to the next thing. But understand that when we were at my leadership at the Kalahari in Austin, yes, we had a leadership meeting at Watermark. I don't know either, but it was fun. And the staff, so we had a little Red Label store set up there, very small, because just leadership, so not a million people. And the home shirts were on sale, and a lot of people wore them on day one. And the staff of the Kalahari, one of the leaders of the events team is from Ukraine. And so the staff all noticed the shirts, and they all ended up buying the shirts and coming on stage last day, and I won't go into too many details about it to keep my composure. But again, it was that moment. They were so moved by our largest global company in the world under one brand, KW, that we care enough to do these things to help others everywhere. And I think sometimes we forget about that in the day-to-day movement of business. And so I just want to drive back for me when I joined KW, it was because of KW Cares. And I just thought a company does that. That seems crazy. So I want to always remember as I bring back the conversation around the Y4C2Ts and the culture and the humanity of our daily lives here. So thank you for that. Thank you for highlighting it. Oh, Movement Mortgage. It's moi. Come on up and grab a mic, friend. Movement Mortgage, friends. Eddie Malinky.
I don't know which way to look. Should I be looking over here and seeing all you guys? Anyways.
Spin in circles.
All right, I'll keep walking.
Just don't be dizzy.
I will.
Okay.
So I got economic updates for you guys, so you guys have actual real numbers to go out there and speak to your clients about intelligently. You're not making stuff up. Don't make stuff up. So pending home sales came out today. They were down 1.2% year over year. You guys know how much interest rates have gone up in the past year? 2.25%. 2.25%, let that sink in, but the market has only gone down. In 1.2 in March, sales are down year over year 8.2%. Okay, nationwide, not a lot. And the reason being is because we have from 2000 and, I want to say 10 years ago, to 2012 through today, we have 14 million more homes, more households that have been formed. Do you know how many properties for sale there are compared to what there was 10 years ago?
Less.
A lot less. There was 3.7 million available in 2012. There's less than a million available nationwide now. So put that in perspective. I mean, you have 14 million more households formed, 3 million households less to purchase, right? So it's incredible. And we're doing an entire class on this. Sorry, I forgot to start 2 minutes. We're doing an entire class on this next sales meeting, rates, recessions, and real estate. All right, so you guys, we're going to do a whole in-depth analysis about it. Single-family rents went up in February, 13.1% year over year. You guys, that's the highest on record ever. 13.1% in 1 year. Can you imagine? I mean, it'd be nice to have a fixed mortgage, wouldn't it? But MBA came out today with mortgage applications. They have dropped, so demand is dropping. That's why you're seeing less people coming to the open houses. 16% year over year. 16.6 to be exact. 30-year fixed is now at 5 3/8 on average. So that's quite a shocker when people were shopping 6 months ago and they were still getting quoted in the 3% range. Right?
2 months ago.
2 months ago? 3 months? Less. But yes, close. Seriously, it's just nuts. How fast, how quick. And 5-year ARMs now are over 1% less. So when you guys sit in on our class next week, we're going to talk about the short-term versus the long-term financing, what we're expecting to have, what's going to come out of the recession, and what we can expect rates and home prices to do. So that will help us guide your clients into the proper financing that they need. So that's my 2 minutes. Thank you guys.
Don't drop the mic. Thank you, Eddie, and Movement Mortgage friends. And thanks for snacks and drinks and all that you do. To be awesome.
We will be.
Are you raising your hand or just?
No, it's like I love snacks.
Now with culture, Vinny, I see you now. It's your turn, my friend. Let's talk about culture.
You know what? I don't know what Jack or Eddie said, but thank you guys for speaking. It was fantastic.
You're welcome.
Now,
Next time you're here.
There we go. Red Day is coming up May 12th, I believe. If I'm saying it incorrectly, correct me, but I'm pretty sure May 12th, I'm going to go with that. Red Day at 5 o'clock, we're going to have, I think it's Father Joe's. Yeah, Father Joe's pick up a food for food drive. We have flyers. I posted it on Facebook. Thank you, Sarah. Oh, Sarah, your picture looks like Steven. Fantastic. All right.
I didn't take fast enough. Hold on.
There you go. So I posted it on Facebook and I gave it to Eve, I believe.
I'll repost.
Yes?
Yes, we'll repost.
Okay, repost. All right, so there is a flyer out there. If you want to build your own flyer, feel free to do it. Use this as a prospecting tool for a good cause.
I hear agents talk about all the time, well, what am I going to door knock with? What information am I going to give? Your door knock for a good cause, put the flyer up there, ask for canned goods, say you're going to come back on May 12th and pick those items up right there. Ideally, partner up with 1 or 2 other agents, so if you have a car, one person can grab them, the other person can go out the car, grab them, put them back in the car, so on and so forth. But yes, take the flyers, be part of it. Even if you can't do it, just come on May 12th for Red Day and just share the post. And we're going to have food. Also snacks, I guess, at the beginning for breakfast and for lunch. Moving Mortgage and I believe Old Republic, I believe.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you guys.
It's almost like you planned that. Thank you, Vinny, for your excellent Red Day work and everything he said, flyers, door knock, post it on your social media. Let people know they can come to the office and drop off themselves in person if they would like to. Post on your social media and let them put bags out and say, I have a bag out, I'll come pick it up. There's a lot of different ways to do this and get involved, so please just take the opportunity to get involved. Red Day, for those of us who don't know, is a day that happens every year in the week of Mo Anderson's birthday. Mo is our queen of culture. She is turning 85 this year. She is still a firecracker if you were on Monday's meeting. She is doing the 4 pillars of culture with us as an office. Pillar 1 did happen this past Monday at 8 a.m. The next 3 Mondays will happen again. If you haven't had the privilege of listening to her speak to you live, which she is doing live with our office on Zoom, it's just for us. We can invite others in, but this is our special treat. Please do, and again, this unplanned ties together with the home shirts and the culture and all of that stuff. Red Day is our annual give where you live, around the world, stop what you're doing globally, think globally, act locally. I have a lot of t-shirt slogans for it, but no matter where we are, we do something to give back that day. And what you'll see is the photographic evidence around the entire world of how powerful it is when 185,000 plus humans come together and do good and put their business aside for a moment. So,
and Sarah, one more thing. If everyone listening is too lazy to get the flyer and pass it out, still come to the photo ops at 5 o'clock, and so you can at least have the popular Joe's thing and make people believe that you're a good person.
Change your story, change your life.
Smoking mirrors.
If you don't want to do all that, there is a thing that they're doing globally where, like, if everyone gave $5, we'd raise $1 million in 2 seconds to change the world. So look out for that as well. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm still on schedule, so let me move on. I am! Oh my gosh, we're so good. Susan, do you have property to pitch?
I sure do, and on the heels of Jacqueline, I will say that t-shirt is nice and soft and yummy, so get yourself that really cool Ukraine t-shirt, it's cool. I do have a property to pitch. I put it up yesterday. It's in Chula Vista, it's in Paradise Hills, the Canyon Ridge neighborhood of Paradise Hills on Chattanooga, 5572. A unique street in that it's at the very end of, it's on a cul-de-sac and there's no throughways at that end. So it's a really wonderful place for, you know, young families and raising kids. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. My clients have owned it for 7 years and they've just done beautiful things to it. It's got a new roof, it's got new windows, it's got a whole house fan. It does have an attached 1-car garage. It's a very, very well kept. It's beautiful. They put new flooring throughout, really beautiful paint colors. It shows really, really well, and it's listed at $695. So it's a unique bird. It's 1,200 square feet, and like I said, got 4 bedrooms. Count them. It's a really nice little place, and it's going to go really quick. So I'm coordinating appointments for this weekend. If you have anybody looking in that low 7s, probably going to end up somewhere between the low to mid 7s. So please keep it in mind, 5572 Chattanooga. And then I also just wanted to give you a pre-warning that's coming up sometime next week. With the help of Sarah and Ashley, we were able to secure a listing in Shelter Island in Point Loma. A very unique property on Talbot, but down about 50 steps to the yacht club. So there's very few houses that can say that they're in the heart of Shelter Island, and this one is. It's about 2,200 square feet, Very funky. It's about a 36, 38-year-old house, which for Point Loma is new. But if you've got somebody that's looking for opportunity, it's a 3-story house, which is unheard of and not allowed anymore with the Port District. So, you might think it's, value is in the land, but there's also tremendous value in a 3rd story. The 2nd and 3rd floor have outside spaces with complete wide views to the bay. So it's really, really cool. If you've got somebody looking, we're going to price it somewhere in the 1.8 range. It's probably going to go for something in the two low 2s when all is said and done, but we're just going to let the power of the buyers dictate that. So keep that in mind. If you have somebody that's interested, let me know. I'm doing all the prep work these next few days for cleaning and all that good stuff. So, but I can certainly get you in there. We've got it empty now. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Susan. Nice work on that second listing too. Melinda, your hand is up.
Yes, I have one that just hit the market at about 10:30 Monday night. Chula Vista, not Otay Ranch, East Lake Vistas, Sonora Ridge. 3-bedroom, 2 bath, 1,410 square feet, listed for $750,000. I know several in this office already have appointments to show or have shown. We'll be open all weekend, but do expect this to be a strong one. And then the listing that I have, the second one up in Bulbrook, is still available. We're negotiating today, yet we're all talking about market shifts. We don't quite have the quantity of offers we expected, so it's listed. It's a 4.2, 1,610 square feet, listed for $700,000. So you really can't beat that. And then both of these homes are pristine. So bring your buyers out.
Awesome. Was that the end? Yes. Okay. Susan, there's some questions in the chat, so if you would answer those, I think they're directed at you. And I would just want to asterisk something before we pass to Broker Bob. And because Susan mentioned with that listing that she went for, and she was going after a luxury listing, and she had some questions about being super competitive. And she had some transparency about who she was competing against. And she reached out to me and Ashley together and said, how can you help? And we said, hold on, here we come. And we gave her numbers and stats and luxury materials and all sorts of stuff. So please just always remember the leverage that your office home provides, and that we're all willing to help you guys do what it takes to get the deals and have all the information and possibility in your pocket.
And if I might just add to that, one company in particular, Berkshire Hathaway, always uses their international reach very, very, that's their first foot forward. And so when they get into these, they get in front of people, they convince them that they're the only people that have an international reach. So that's why I pulled the girls in, because I know that, we have good reaches. In fact, maybe it's something we need to talk about as a market center, to just make sure everybody knows the stats of number of agents and amount of business done, because all that information pulled together was quite powerful, and we were able to compete, not only compete, but we're frankly stronger. So, it was all good stuff. Thanks again, Sarah.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Broker Bob, without further ado, it's over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, Calhoun's family. Let's see, we have about 50 people online. How many people do we have in the room today?
Turn my mic off. 20?
20, good. So we have about 70 people joined us today. Fantastic. That's good for a risk management, risk management. So let's get moving into this. We might actually end up a little early. Who knows, unless you have a lot of questions. Yes, I apologize. I do sound a little throaty. As I said, I went to Coachella last weekend for 4 days, and 3 of it was dancing and singing, and I came back with COVID, so it is still out there. And I'm double vaxxed and double boosted. That just knocked me on my booty. It's definitely in my chest. So, just kind of be careful out there. Large crowds still. We're coming back into a hybrid, virtual, and in person, but I just want y'all to be careful. Know that it's still available for you for the taking if you'd like to. All right, so let's get into this. share my screen so we can get going on this. And can you all see that?
Yes, we can.
One
No,
sec.
we
Good, and I'm going to will monitor the chat box as much as I possibly can.
There she is.
Okay. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover a little bit of SDR risk management hot topics. We're going to talk about the SELN, that's the authorization to exclude. I've been getting a lot of them filled out wrong lately, and I'm going to show you the right way to fill it out. We're going to talk about car banks and escalation clauses. This is a big concern still, that it is, and escalation clauses are still a thing, but I'm going to make sure we've seen some funky ones still come across the desk. We'll talk about the market conditions and what that means right now, and why I want to bring this up again, and then I'm going to give you a little government affairs update on all of the stuff going on with these local municipalities, with the landlords and the rental properties and rent caps. It's going to affect our business, and I want to give you guys some pointers on what you should be doing when we hear about stuff like this. And again, one thing that always concerns me is I know I sold my current home with a residential lease after sale with 55 days and no cost to seller, but I had that RLAS filled out at contract consummation and given back to the buyer, who's now my landlord, which is wonderful. So, but I wanted to make sure that they knew that they could feel comfortable. So we'll talk about that, and then Mark's compliance review, any questions. So risk management hot topics, this is a lot what's going on at the board right now. It's all about rental housing, the rental housing market, helping our landlord clients, and how agents need to step up and be part of the solution. So I'm going to show you some stuff in a few slides from now. But it all talks about simple little things you guys should be doing as an agent in order to combat this, because it's going to affect our inventory. It's already shown to affect our inventory. I don't want it to be a political statement, but it's something that you need to be concerned about because this is your industry as well. When markets are on fire, litigation always follows, says every broker ever. And it's true, we have been in a market that has been on fire in more ways than one. And it's a frenzy. It's been a frenzy for the last 2 years. I'm actually welcoming a little bit of shift, and what that shift looks like, we don't know. I would like to get back to a market where a buyer doesn't have to give everything but their firstborn and let the seller stay for 3 months or whatever. You know, I'd like to get back to a market where a buyer can go look at 3 or 4 or 5 different houses and make an offer. But there's downsides to all of that. The downside is that it'll be a little bit, and you know, if you just continue your lead generation and you make that your core focus each and every day, you will never need to worry about what the market is doing, ever. Ever. You should also be looking at your expenses right now. What are you spending? What do you not need to spend? Go through and cut some of that. Because there will be a shift coming, there will be a little bit of change. And we had a heyday since post-COVID. It was a really fun ride. But all things do end. So I review this a lot. What is the number one thing a buyer or seller will say to me as your broker if they want to sue you and the brokerage and me as well? Anybody know?
My agent never told me.
I'm glad I have some old timers in the room. If you're brand new to us, you're going to hear this from me a lot. Because every litigation or every mediation, arbitration, every court case that I have attempted to argue in the last 2 years, the agent did not tell them what they should have told them. And maybe they did tell them, and the agent said, I thought I told them. And I said, great, did you memorialize it in an email and follow up with them? So what does this really mean? If there's something significant in the home sale or home purchase for your principal, and it's a material fact, you need to have a conversation with that buyer and or seller about those material facts. And you need to have a good discussion with them about what the disclosure of material facts. A material fact is something that will affect the sale of that property. have that conversation verbally. And it's great to have that conversation verbally, but then you need to back it up in an email per our conversation on April 22nd, 2022 at 3:52 in the afternoon. We discussed the ABC of your home. So I'll give you some example of where this could bite you in the butt. And especially on flip properties. Flip properties are probably the ones that have a lot of post-close transaction issues, you know. They look pretty, and we call it, it's put lipstick on a pig, because the flipper just wants to go in and make everything look pretty on the outside, but not really worry about what's inside. And one of our recent cases that we settled, without going into many details of the case, but there was a request for repair that was submitted, and it was a structural repair. So it was a major repair that they needed to go in and place some new pylons in for the foundation. And it was agreed the seller was going to do that, and they supposedly did do it. Yet the agents failed to check to make sure they were done properly or securely, or had a secondary inspection on it. And then, a year and a half later, the buyers are discovering that there's major foundational issues because the repairs that were done didn't really match what needed to be done, and they ended up spending about another $25,000 to fix that. And we did everything we possibly could with the agent saying, did you have the conversation with them about, you know, get a secondary inspection on the foundation, speak to an expert. You know, we're not experts in foundations, but we need to guide you to do that. And they said they had the conversation, but they had no communication log to back it up. And so to go defend that claim against that claim was really challenging for us. And we ended up paying out our E&O base, which was $10,000, and then above that, whatever the other amount was. So the deductible was $10,000. We split that with the agent, $5,000 with KW and $5,000 with the agent. But imagine if it was you and you all of a sudden you got a $5,000 bill, because the E&O covers you with a $10,000 deductible. We don't pay it. You are responsible for paying it. And in some cases, we'll share that expense. So please, moving forward, if you're dealing with somebody, whether, you know, it's about, let's say a buyer doesn't want to get an inspection, then they need to sign the buyer inspection waiver. That they're not going to get an inspection, but you also need to put in an email, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is against broker advice. We highly recommend you get an inspection on the property. Anything that's out of the ordinary that you're guided in a normal transaction is stuff you should guide your principal to do. If they don't want to do it, that's okay. But you're going to have to save your booty and our booty by showing and proving that you had that conversation. Any questions on that, or anybody want to make a comment about something that they've seen they wish they would have and they didn't?
Hey, Broker Bob. I don't know. Can you hear me? Hold on.
Let's bring you a mic.
Sorry. Thank you.
Hey, is there a statute of limitation on that, as far as like, that's a year and a half later, right?
It's about, I think it's 3 years from discovery of the incident.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, 2 years from the discovery of the incident. So once they discover it, so they're still going to sue us no matter what. I mean, we wish there was a statute on everything that says, oh, they can sue us now, but they won't. Anything else?
No,
right.
Please go on.
The next thing is the seller authorization to exclude. And so basically what this is, if you have a property that is in, that you've taken the listing and you have within 2 days to put that listing on the MLS. Otherwise, you need to get an exclusion from the seller to withhold that property until the property is ready. And most times when you take a listing, the seller might need to do some stuff to get a home ready, right? They might need to, you know, you might take a listing on a but they're not ready to get to the market till Saturday, exclusion. And some of these coming soons too that have been coming back to us as well. if you don't have them in coming soon in the MLS, you can't put a sign on the property. So a few of our agents were putting signs on the property saying coming soon, yet they weren't in the MLS. Now the agent said, oh, I completely forgot. I'm going to take care of that right away. But your competition is watching this too. They are watching this because of our inventory is. And they're going to call you on it to see if you are following what we call the NARS, the National Association of Realtors Player Cooperation Policy, the CCP. And this is the SCLM form, that's the zip forms. Item number 3, you will never ever fill out. You'll never fill out 3D because our MLS has adopted the NAR Realtors Player Cooperation Policy. The reason why this is form is designed this way to confuse the break out of you guys is because there are some MLSs in California that don't subscribe to the NAR's Player Cooperation Policy, but ours does. So I get a lot of 3Ds filled out. You'll never ever fill out a 3D because we have in all the North County, the South Bay, and SDMLS, we are adhering to the Player Cooperation Policy set forth by NAR. So the only section you're going to fill out is either 4A or B or C, okay? And make sure you put the date in there. Another question I get asked a lot is, I have a property coming soon. Can I have buyers that want to make an offer? Can they make an offer? Yes, they can make an offer if it's incoming soon, but absolutely not can they go inside and see the property. That's where you'll get tagged. The moment you allow a buyer to come in and look at that property, it has to be made available to every other buyer and their agent in the MLS. So if you have it coming soon, people can make offers, but you can't have people see the property. Just remember that, okay?
Robert, I have a question.
Do we have 24 hours, Robert, from the moment we show it to someone to put it live?
Yep, 24 hours to make sure it gets live.
And Robert, this is Dan. Isn't that also, aren't we allowed to show it within the brokerage?
So yes, you are allowed to show that property because it's an office exclusive, and the best is to have that buyer under a buyer-broker agreement. So it's a good thing for you to say, hey, I need to have you on an exclusive with me in order for me to show you all the properties we have that haven't hit the market yet, but you have to sign this document. So it's going to help cement the fact that they're going to hire you as under a BRE, but it also is going to protect in case we have to show them, like this is an office exclusive, we can show it to agents and their buyers within our walls because they're under agency limits. Good point, Dan. Thank you very much. And by the way, Dan, covered all over the valley. Be safe, okay? All right, escalation clauses. What was that?
Made him spit his water out.
Escalation clauses. We get this a lot. So I'm going to talk about it when I'm blue in the face. Here's a slide deck put up by PAR. I'm not going to go through the whole slide deck, but I'm going to go to the section that is the most risk management concern. So what is an escalation clause? An escalation clause that says that your buyer will beat or match any offer up to a certain amount. You can put a cap up to it as well too, and you go a certain dollar amount over that offer. It's great. We need to do that in some of these properties because they're highly sought after. But we are seeing some tepid cooling, which is probably good. Sellers can no longer just put their property in the market thinking anybody's going to pay anything for it. That said, if you ever do anything like an escalation clause or an appraisal waiver, buyers should always be advised to speak with their own legal counsel prior to making an offer with an escalation clause. We have not adopted a policy discouraging the use of escalation clauses because there's no way that we're going to go compete unless that's available. I typically don't want you drafting an escalation clause because you're not an attorney. Because when you start drafting escalation clauses, you're doing a legal document, and you're not attorneys. So we do have set language we can use, but then again, it's also really important. And I'm not seeing a lot of this, and Mark doesn't see a lot in the final reviews, in the communication logs for some of the closed files. He doesn't see an agent confirm, hey, we're going to write an offer with an escalation clause, and we highly advise you to speak to an attorney. Now, whether or not they speak to an attorney, that's not the point. The point is you advise them. Because if there's ever a chance that they come down and they want to sue you, and in a heated market, buyers will sometimes get buyer's remorse. For those of you that actually remember what the short sale market was like, I had agents literally afraid to call their former clients because their clients were now upside down. And now fast forward to this market, you put someone in a home, and I don't think prices they're not going to drop like they did back then, but you never know. Markets go up, markets down. They might be mad at you because they now overpaid for this house because you didn't advise them properly. So my point is, be a fiduciary for your people. Don't make it a tough sale. Follow up with an email with all the conversations you have with them. It'll be a lot better for you. And then the market conditions advisory is a document that you should actually review with your clients prior to writing the purchase agreement. By the way, what you should do as a standard of practice, when you take on a new buyer, you should send them a blank RPA and a blank market conditions advisory, and say these are the RPA is the document we're going to sign. I want you to read through it and ask me questions when we start making offers on property. And the market condition advisory is basically advising you about it's important for you to do your own research about what the market's doing. As a standard of practice, that's the best thing, rather than just waiting for them to sign the purchase agreement they've never seen it before. You should give it to them in advance of you going out looking for properties. It's a good practice to do that. Any questions on that? All right. Now let's talk about what's going on in the county and how you guys need help. And it's all about the eviction moratorium and rent control and SDR rent alerts. So this page right here is the SDAR Government Affairs page. So you can write this domain down, go.sdar.com/government. And there's an eviction moratorium update happening in the city of San Diego and Chula Vista, if you haven't seen that. And this is going to be big. What they're attempting to do is make it really challenging for landlords to operate in the state of California as well as the county of San Diego. They're making them do all these guidelines about rent. If rent caps ever happen, it's going to be a world of hurt for landlords because they're not going to be able to get the rent that they need for their property. And the eviction moratorium is going to make it harder for a landlord to get rid of their tenants if they ever choose to put it up for sale. Virtually impossible. So from time to time, you're going to see emails like this one right here where it said red alert, opposed to the proposed San Diego no fault eviction moratorium. You get that in an email. When you see that, I want you to click on that and read through that email. And I want you to go through, and this is what they do. You can submit an e-comment by just doing a couple clicks and copying and pasting. Our elected officials need to hear this. We, as real estate agents, can be very powerful as a voice if we use it here with our elected officials. But right now what's going on is we have far left liberals, and they're far left, they are, that are pushing this agenda through. And I understand why they're doing it, I get it. But on the other side, unless we build more housing, you're just putting a Band-Aid on the issue. And then we can't build the houses because nobody wants them in their backyard, and you've got the environmental concerns and all this other stuff. So when this comes out by SJR, I hope that you click on that link. And then also when you pay your dues, I hope you at least pay $25 a year to the Realtor Action Fund. And if you haven't paid it, send in $25 because they are your advocates, and what do they call them in Washington?
Lobbyists.
Lobbyists. They're the lobbyists. They're the ones that are lobbying you on your behalf at the state level and the county level. And Ryan's a good friend of mine. He's been here promoting a couple of the things recently, and he works really hard to make sure you're informed. So please, if you can do that for me, it's really not doing it for me, you're doing it for yourself. You're helping to protect your industry. Because if they continue to make it so hard, I know a lot of landlords, well, they might sell, it's going to be great, they're going to sell, and then they'll move out of California. But a lot of landlords are talking about that, just basically just pulling up stakes in California, moving to another state where it's easier to get a better ROI, because the housing prices are so much, compared to so much, but you can't get, if you're capped on rent, you might as well just go someplace else. Okay? Any questions on that? Anybody in the room ever click on a red alert? Yeah, first time you heard of a red alert? Okay, now you've heard of red alerts from your broker. And then, I'll keep mentioning the SIP, the seller in possession, and the RLAS, the residential lease after sale. The SIP, if you're trying to win out a bid and you want to say, okay, Mr. Seller, my buyer says you can stay there for a certain amount of time, the SIP is used for 29 days or less. And it's an easier form to fill out, and it's not a lease. It's actually what's called a license to use the home. So it's a little bit different if the buyer ever had to pick that seller. And the RLAS is rather lengthy. It takes some time to fill out. But we are still getting some files that are closing that allows the seller to stay in the property. And that file will not be released, so the checks will be released until we make sure we have that RLAS in the documents, or the SIP. Mark does a red flag and then notifies me and says, this is not in the file, we're not going to release the check until we see that, or the broker approves it. So be aware of that. We will be really sticklers on that because it could land you in trouble if you don't have that filled out and that seller decides to become a squatter in that property. So for about 6 months, Mark has been changing the compliance review. You may see it's a little bit kinder and gentler, not too wordy.
Let's just laugh.
It's pretty clear cut, and what he's finding is that most agents don't read this because he makes recommendations in it, and then it comes time to close, and those recommendations aren't done. But the most important part you need to worry about is the top part, the required missing items. So this is the initial review. The file's been open, initial review, here's what's missing. From a whole looks at things, it's not a lot. Well, this was an old one, because it has a PB in it. You guys remember the PBs? Yeah. I think Melinda misses those really hard. But anyway, the top things are what is the agent responsibility. Agent responsibility. Meaning, it's not your TC, it's not the other agent on the other side, it's your responsibility. Because if you're ever called into a mediation report, they're not going to say, well, why did you have this form? You can't say, well, my TC didn't get it. That's not going to go. You're the fiduciary to the client. They're not going to sue the TC. They will name the TC, but you're ultimately the one responsible. So what happens is a lot of back and forth where the TC thinks the agent's doing, the agent thinks the TC is doing it, and it doesn't get done. So it's your responsibility to go through on the requirements and items, means it's your responsibility to see that it's done. It's not the TC's responsibility. You can direct them to get it done and they'll do it for you, right? And then the broker to buyer agent's recommendation, those are just some helpful hints. And you know what? God bless Mark for doing stuff like this. He's there to educate you about what the contract means. And for him to put stuff like this, he's only doing it to make you better as an agent so you understand the contract. So when your client says, well, what does this mean? You kind of know what it means. And I know I have some Mark advocates out there. I know Dan. Dan, you're probably the biggest Mark advocate, right?
Yes.
All right, and then on the final review, add these missing items when they become available, and missing items required for approval. So all those things below needs to be submitted in order for you to get your check. So the very bottom of this, the final review, is what you've got to make sure is in the file. Not your TC, the TC will probably do it, but you need to make sure the TC gets it done. Or you see that it gets done. Not a lot of this passing the buck about whose responsibility to do it. Now I know you're out there. Trust me, I know you're all busy. I know what it's like to do a transaction. We're just here to guide you and help you make it a little bit easier for you, but you've got to read the final reviews so that you're starting to understand the contract. Okay? Kind of that. Who's got some questions? We ended up early.
Hey, Robert?
Yes.
I usually don't chime in on some of these things, but today I want.
Is that Bob?
The initial thing you were discussing about liability. You know what? I remember many, many years ago, long ago, for many people in our office had licenses. Flipping was just really becoming kind of a big deal. I'm talking going back 14, 15 years, 16 years. And at the time, people would go in and they would tear a house apart. They would go to resell it. And then they would say, I've never lived in the property. I have no knowledge. I'm TDS exempted. And we would sell these houses with very, very little disclosure. And obviously, as time went on, we found more and more liability issues. Today, particularly with these third-party sellers, like flag homes, person can't buy. They want to be a non-contingent buyer, so they go ahead and sell their home to this third party, who then they turn around and they become the seller. And they are trying to sell these properties many times with very, very little disclosure, no TDS or very little TDS, and they're saying the same thing again. Seller has never resided in the property. With the exuberance that buyers find themselves in wanting to purchase a home, that regardless of the cost, no appraisal, no inspection, we're going to start seeing more and more of these issues where our buyers have put themselves in a position of not having proper disclosure. Now, I know that they can still go ahead and have their own inspection, but it's really important to recognize that anybody who's reselling a property, there are disclosures available, and you can ask for them. You can get them. You can request the disclosure from the previous seller. And there's things that you can do to help protect yourself and protect your buyer. But particularly because people are in such a frenzy with trying to get an acceptance, they're willing to do too much. They're willing to go, too far in these things, and really putting themselves in a predicament that could really get them in some hot water.
Thank you, Bob. That's a great story to share. You bring up flip properties. Flips scare brokers to death because of the lipstick on a pig. But I had an agent call me over the weekend. She sold somebody something a year and a half ago, and the buyer has discovered mold in the house, and it was a flip property. And hopefully that will turn into something against us, but mostly against the flipper if there's ever any type of case on it. But, you know, how you protect yourself is, I always learned early on to tell the buyer, I'm going to convince you not to buy the house. You're not always going to want them to buy the house, but I'm going to show you everything that's wrong. You need to inspect on it. And if you don't want to inspect it, great, but I'm going to tell you everything's wrong. Because it's the material plan.
Yes, yeah, just in closing, exactly. I mean, to protect yourself and to protect your brokerage, your broker. It's really important that that conversation be had with the client before they make a decision, a buying decision, or a decision to remove all contingencies. Because we're seeing too many sellers. It's just very loosey-goosey out there, and we're seeing sellers right now feeling, you know what, we're controlling the situation, and we'll tell you what we want to tell you, and we're not going to worry about it. If you don't want to buy it, someone else will.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot to be in because you've got a buyer who really wants the property, but at the same time, it's really important to give proper education to your client.
Which is why I said at the beginning, when markets are on fire, litigation follows.
There you go.
What every broker says, because it's just pandemonium that's existed the past few years. So,
right.
All right. That's all I have. Thanks for sharing. That's all I have. Back to you, Sarah, to close it out.
Thanks, Robert. Go drink your hot tea, get sleep, stick your face in the sun. Don't go to Coachella anymore. Thank you all for being here today. Glad to see your faces back in person and online. For those of us in the room, we will go play games and have fun. For those of us online, you may go play games and have fun with yourselves. Interpret that as you wish. Happy April. See y'all next week. It's gonna be May. Bye.